Hey guys, Ryan here, and today I just wanted to do a quick review on the new Lightning Collection Psycho Blue Ranger figure. So this one was a bit unexpected. We still don't have Wave 2 or Goldar in the UK, so for the Psycho Blue to show up out of nowhere was a total surprise. Since getting this figure, I've been wondering whether it's even worth reviewing it in isolation, but as it doesn't seem to be out in America yet, I imagine there's going to be some of you out there that want to see it, so here we go. This is actually my 7th Lightning Collection figure after I recently got the Jason SDCC set. Now I have got Lost Galaxy Red and Red Psycho Ranger on pre-order, and to be honest, I did think that they were going to be released in tandem, but I guess not. Let's see if we can rapidly get through my usual categories for this one. Talking about the toy history then, well this is quite a funny one because we actually only got our first Psycho Blue Ranger a year ago when Bandai released it as part of one of the final waves of the Legacy Collection. I didn't actually buy that one because, to be honest, the Psycho Rangers have always been able to take or leave them. However, this time, knowing that I was going to end up with Psycho Red from that 2-pack, I was a little more inclined to go with the individual blue release. Over the last few years, the Psycho Rangers have been widely lauded as fan favourites from Power Rangers in Space and Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. Yeah, they were kind of cool, but were they that good? You can totally see the appeal of them as action figures for first Bandai and now Hasbro though. It's pretty much exactly the same mould for all the male and then female figures, and you just have to repaint them. Fair enough, they have their own exclusive weapons, but as they don't have official civilian identities, there's no need to even sculpt a civilian head, which, following on from the recent release of the Wave 2 Magna Defender coming without a civilian head, does make me wonder if Hasbro are trying to get out of doing them where possible. I certainly hope not, because as I said long ago, the civilian heads are really what makes this line for me, although weapons certainly come close. Let's talk about the design. It's so weird that we never got toys of these back at the end of the 90s, and now in the space of just over a year we've had 2 of them in different scales, but very similar in terms of detail and accuracy. The design is really simple, so it does help that the figures have their own individual weapons. What's the differences from the original? And of course we're treating the original as last year's Bandai Legacy release. Well, you've got a bit more movement in the torso. Then to be honest, the rest of it, very similar. We've got double jointed knees and elbows, just like the Bandai release, and rotating hands, but not forearms. For me personally, I don't mind that Hasbro are doing them again so soon because I never bought the Bandai versions in the first place. But if you did buy them just a year ago, you must be a little annoyed that they're coming again quite so soon. And I can only imagine the reason for this and why they did the Gold Ranger and Armoured Red Ranger as the SDCC exclusive is because Hasbro are kind of trying to burn the legacy figures to the ground. They want to kill the resale value and the idea of them having been put on some mythical plinth as the only way to get certain characters. Up until a year ago, when Bandai made good on their legacy figure promise, the idea of having Psycho Rangers as figures was kind of the stuff of folklore. So Hasbro coming at us with their own versions quite so soon is probably slightly based on the immediacy of those figures probably being at their disposal once the deal was done. They were the newest kind of final releases from Bandai, so they could base their own figures off them quite easily. What's bad about it then? Well, as other reviewers have been pointing out on their own Lightning Collection figures, there is very little neck going on. It's like they're drilling the holes inside the head a little too deep, which means the neck and peg is just vanishing inside the head sculpt. It is a shame, and luckily, because you can unclip the head so easily, even on a figure without an alternate head, you can sort of lightly balance it on the top, but then, you know, you've got the issue of what if it falls over and the head just flies across the room somewhere. So it depends what kind of pose you're looking for, but I'm hopeful that this problem won't blight the Lightning Collection for too much longer, because surely Hasbro are seeing this stuff. The other main concern for me, and some of you will know it if you follow my Instagram at PowerRangergram, is the paint. My experience of QC in the Hasbro Power Rangers era has been mixed so far, and I'm kind of expecting there to be something now, and it's just how much I can deal with it. It's really frustrating, and I can't stress that enough. There was a post on Ranger Board of someone who had an awful lot of blue overspray on his figure, and actually my problems aren't even as bad as that, but it just seemed like in the box there was a bit too much marking going on. I was able to scratch off some of the excess paint, but it is a bit risky, and I did accidentally start to scratch too far into the paint that needs to be on there. There's still a few scuff marks across the figure, mostly shown up on the white parts, but this one is acceptable. It's probably in the minority of figures that are. And this is something that I hope Hasbro are taking seriously, because it seems like there's a problem of some sort with every release. I'm not going near the Fighting Spirit Green Ranger and Putty set because I'm just going to wait for a normal Green Ranger, but the people that have gone for one have been experiencing really horrible problems, especially with the Morpher and Power Coin. Now you could argue that in a £20 collector's figure line, you get what you pay for, but still these are twice the price of the basic figures, and the problems are about on par. People have been messaging me and saying that they don't seem to have these problems with the Star Wars figures, and so I'm wondering, what's the problem with Power Rangers? Why are they being produced, somewhere cheaper or somewhere too quickly? Basically, I just need it to stop because it's driving me crazy or psycho and it's putting me off the figures. In happier news though, what's great about it? Well, as we've mentioned, though there's no civilian head with this, you can easily swap it for a human one whenever you like. So hopefully if they do a Psycho Silver and a Silver Space Ranger, you'll be able to swap Zane's head over, which will be quite fun. Also, there's only one weapon with this release, though it is quite a nice chunky axe, possibly to make up for the lack of accessories we've been coming to expect with these releases. They've included a hand with an FX piece built onto the fingers, which is kind of cool actually. So as well as the FX piece you get for the weapon, you get this hand with a different colour one on. And if you don't like it, luckily you can just change it over to an open hand version. And then they've given us a closed fist to replace the left hand. I guess another upshot about this figure in particular is that it's in scale with the basic line, so very rapidly we're amassing quite a large collection of Power Rangers figures, and now the Psychos can easily join the bad guys. I am hopeful that unlike with the Legacy collection we do get all 5 proper Psycho Rangers, and the silver one would be nice. I guess we'll see what happens, and I imagine Hasbro will just throw one in every now and again. What do we think as well of these figures that are not part of actual waves, that are kind of done as standalone figures? Obviously there's been Goldar in America, the armoured black Mighty Morphin Ranger with the dragon shield, this guy, and then you've got the 2-packs like the Jason SDCC set, the Fighting Spirit Green Ranger and Putty, and the Red Lost Galaxy and Psycho Red still to come. I think it's kind of interesting, and obviously we weren't used to that in the Legacy collection. I imagine as a fan it's going to get quite confusing if you're trying to keep up to date or if you enter this collection late. It's been a bit of a shock to the wallet that there's been new figures just pretty constantly over the last few months. You can't deny though that they operate very similarly with their Marvel Legends figures, and for now at least I do appreciate that some of the standalone figures aren't as necessary. Like I'm not picking up the armoured Black Ranger because I just want the regular Black Ranger. Same reason as before for the Fighting Spirit Green Ranger. They're very much nice to have variants, but I'm glad they're not in the main waves. So guys, have any of you got this on pre-order, and how many of you already have a taller Bandai Legacy figure version? Oh, and thanks as well to everyone following me on Instagram, because that's just gone past 15,000, which is nuts. Or psycho. I'll be back very soon with a review of the SDCC Jason box set, because although I didn't need it, that ended up too convenient to say no to, and I'm actually really happy with the amount of effort they put into that set. So until the next time, see you later.